Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of this series in which I compare my Diezel VH4 to various modeling platforms. We did the Helix Stadium XL, we did the Fractal AM4, and today we are doing the Fender Tone Master Pro because in their most recent update they added the petrol amp, which is based on channel 3 of a Diezel VH4. Of course, if you're interested, check out my previous episodes also for more details, etc. None of the platforms have been able to nail the actual sound of my Diezel VH4 just yet. It's a really interesting and unique amplifier. It has some quirks going on that, in my opinion, are hard to model. I love this amplifier so much, especially channel 3, of course, the legendary channel 3, which is what we're going to focus on. Again, same settings as before. For the comparisons, anytime you're going to hear the real amp, I'm going to run the amplifier through my real cabinet, my Grossmann Fatbox with my V30, mic'd up with 3 mics, so fully analog. And in the digital realm, I'm going to use an IR that I've created of that exact same setup. So it's an analog, fully analog rig versus fully digital rig, if you know what I mean. So what else can I say that I haven't said in my previous videos? If there's anything missing in terms of the information, just go ahead and check out the previous episodes if you're interested. In future episodes, I'm going to do the Quad Cortex, of course, and Tonex, and maybe 1 or 2 other platforms. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. And let's take a listen to a comparison of the real analog rig with the Diezel VH4 through my real V30 cabinet versus the petrol model in the Tone Master Pro. Take a listen. All right, that wasn't bad. It didn't sound identical. It didn't have some of the quirks as much as the real amplifier, but I must say that it did sound pretty good. Balanced and analog-y, if you know what I mean. So, you know, recently I have been really pleasantly surprised with the Tone Master Pro. You can get some really awesome sounds out of it for sure, even though it doesn't seem to sound exactly like my VH4. More on that in a minute. First, let's take a listen to the isolated comparison as well, and then we'll take a look at the preset that I created for this comparison. Check it out. Right, interesting, right? So again, it's not a bad sound. It doesn't sound the same. Just as with the other comparisons so far, it just hasn't been able to capture those quirky dynamics, even though I must say that it's a quite pleasing amp model. So they did a good job with creating something cool that sounds kind of like a Diezel VH4. Not exactly the same. Close enough? Maybe. I'll leave that up to you guys. So one of the quirks that I've talked about in the other videos as well is that with the real amplifier, when you do palm muted notes, the volume jumps up and the pick attack jumps forward. And you know, usually with a lot of amplifiers, when you do low-end chugs, you get the resonant peaks in the low end. You know, those chuggy, chung, 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 low-end resonant peaks. With this amplifier, when you do the chugs, it's not just the low end that jumps out, but the entire frequency spectrum. And then when you play open and loud, it compresses and ducks down again. So that's a really interesting quirk that this amplifier has. That behavior isn't quite captured in this model. So, you know, bear that in mind. So again, just as with the previous modelers, the response is a bit more linear and less quirky. It's a bit more polished because of that. And that's not a bad thing per se if you don't like those weird characteristics that the real Diezel has. All right. So again, not exactly the same sounding, but definitely a good amp model that you can create some good music with, right? Now, let's take a look at the preset that I created with the Tone Master Pro. For the comparison there, I used my Edwards LP-CTM with Gibson pickups. Right now, I'm holding my ESP LTD Bill Kelleher BK600 with the Mojo Tone Hellbender pickups. Sounds like this. So this preset or this sound or this model sounds great, feels great to play through. I did have to make some pretty drastic adjustments. The real amp has a really nice forward and in-your-faceness. In order to match that, I had to crank the treble up and the presence quite a bit. I had to raise the gain up a little bit more as well in comparison to the real amplifier. But the main thing that is making a lot of difference here is the impedance curve modeling, which is, you know, the Fractal also has it. And with the Fractal, the differences between the impedance curves are noticeable for sure, but not like super drastic. With this device, the differences are quite drastic, and I had to really search for one that sort of did a good job of emulating the mid-range that I was getting here. And I had to go with something that I wasn't expecting in order to get it to sound a bit closer. And it was a little bit more smooth and dark. That's also why I had to crank up the treble and presence a bit to open it up. Now, let's go to the IR block over here. So again, this is the same IR that I used in the previous videos. The IR that I created, you know, when I started making this video of my setup. You can basically get that sound in my VI30 IR pack. You can get my IR packs in my web store. So yeah, I went with the 4x12 petrol impedance curve, which is a Diezel cabinet. So not what I'm using a 1x12. So this is how it sounds again. Now, listen what happens if I browse through some of the impedance curves, okay? Like the Solo G12, for example. It's much brighter. Let's go for the Tangerine. Some of them sound quite similar, but the Petrol V30 had a nice smooth top end. The other ones were just a little bit too sizzly for my taste. The Mega V30 is really very drastically different than the others for some reason. Freeman Greenback. So it's not that the others sound bad or anything like that, not at all. But with the Petrol V30, I was able to get that nice humpy mid-range that I'm getting with the real amplifier as well. Again, not exactly the same, but you know, it might be close enough for you, right? So that's something important that I had to do. If I were to go with something else, let's say the Uber V30, which is way brighter, I would have to go back to the amp and then, you know, turn down the presence, maybe the treble a bit. But when I was doing the matching, I just couldn't get it right. A lot of the other impedance curves were just a little bit too scooped. That's why I went with the other one. And again, very simple preset, you know, amp block, IR block, and that's it. So to conclude, it's not exactly the same, but it does sound cool and it feels good under the fingers, and I like it. So the journey continues. Stay tuned for my next episode. The Quad Cortex is going to be interesting. Maybe the stock amp models won't come as close, but I think that the captures are going to do a great job. Maybe I'll do a V1 and a V2 to compare the two. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to know. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Instagram or Facebook. And if you want to support this channel, you can get something like a Diezel or a Tone Master Pro at my affiliate links for Thomann and Sweetwater. That really helps out the channel at no additional cost for you. Or check out my web store for capture packs, IR packs, etc. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.